Hello and welcome to the London United Filmmaker Podcast. My name is Gregory Randolph. I'm a writer and director from Boston, Massachusetts. I currently live in London, where I attended the London Film School. This podcast is an opportunity for me to tell you about emerging filmmakers currently active in the UK from around the world. Today, I'm happy to have Ellinor Olinder on the podcast. Ellinor is a director, assistant director, and producer from Sweden. She's also a student governor at the London Film School. We are currently working together to produce a grad film from the London Film School. On the podcast, we discuss her experiences making films at London Film School and the development of her own grad film, which she is currently planning now in Sweden. Ellinor Olinder, thank you so much for being on the London United Filmmaker Podcast. How are you?
I'm good. Well, thank you so much for having me. This is very exciting.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you coming by later on a Monday. We've kind of been planning this for a while, so it's a little, I'm glad that we finally made it happen. And I'm super excited to have you on and discuss essentially your experiences at London Film School as a student there. We met through your interest in student union. James Cockrell, former SU president, introduced us, I believe. I was student governor at the time at school, so attending a lot of the board meetings, kind of hearing some of the important decisions happening at London Film School, and I was looking for a replacement as I was graduating, and we met. And it was just a great day because I met someone who is really a lover of film and really involved with London Film School. Again, just to give the audience a little background, you are term 6 at London Film School now,
yes,
so you're
correct.
looking to get your grad film done. So I definitely want to talk about that. I want to talk a little bit about your experiences as student governor and what that's been like at London Film School. But with this podcast, we usually start in the past and just discuss a little bit about what got you into filmmaking and what interested you about it, and we take it from there. So, could you tell me a little bit about what got you to London Film School? What was kind of the initial inklings that you were interested in filmmaking? Maybe talk a little bit about where you're from, and just give us a little bit of a background.
Yeah. Well, thank you for those kind words. And I'm from Sweden. And I actually grew up very kind of interested in sports. And it wasn't really filmmaking for me until I started acting in like my late teens. And I discovered acting. And I always was very kind of imaginative as a child. And I would watch a lot of films and then kind of go out in the garden and pretend I was in one. But it never really clicked until we did like a school play thing. And I was like, okay, acting is fun. And I'd always been kind of class clown. So I started acting at like 15, and then I started applying for acting schools. Cool. And I got in. So I moved when I was 19 to New York and went to American Academy of Dramatic Arts.
And where were you in high school? Where were you living?
In Sweden.
In Sweden.
Yeah, in like I always explain my small town I'm from is like one traffic light.
Wow.
So that's the size of it. So it's quite a change to move to New York City.
What was the name of the area of Sweden?
It's called Mariefred, which is like the tiny town, but it's quite close to Stockholm.
Okay.
So like the east coast of little Sweden.
Wow, yeah. Amazing. Okay, and then boom, you're in New York City.
Yes. Crazy. And it was like my birthday is 11th of September. So I got there on like the 10th, I think. And the day after I turned 20 and all of New York was in mourning. And I'm like, am I really meant to be here?
Wow.
So it was quite a drastic start, I think. But it took me a while to get used to it. But then I absolutely love the city.
Yeah.
Like, I miss it so much sometimes. But yeah, I stayed there. I went to acting school for 2 years.
So at what time was this that you were in New York?
So I moved there 2016 in
Oh, cool.
September.
I was there as well. Maybe we crossed
Oh
paths
my
at
God.
some point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's crazy to
Yeah.
think. Yeah. Yeah, so 2016, and then I moved back home. I did the 2-year program and did like what we call here in the UK the graduate visa, which there is called OPT, I think, or was at the time. So you get kind of a year to do your thing and then try to apply for further visas if you want. So I just knew that I had to kind of build on my reel because I didn't have that much before acting school, much experience. So I was like, okay, I'll just write a short film, put myself in it, film it, get some friends. And then because I wrote and directed it, I just fell in love with the filmmaking of it. And I think I always loved the acting program that I went to was very much...
What's the name of it?
It's called American Academy of Dramatic Arts.
Sure. Yeah.
So it was like a 2-year conservatory program. And I loved it. And it was very kind of theater based. And we had some camera classes, but I always, well, everyone says this, but I just didn't enjoy watching myself, or didn't enjoy that you could watch it over and over again. I was like, if you're in the room, I'm happy to act for you, but I don't want it to be recorded. So I think with filmmaking, that was a way for me to still be able to tell stories, which is like the foundation of why I'm in this industry. But I didn't have to watch myself. I didn't have to be in front of the camera. I could still kind of tell the stories from behind the camera. So, yeah.
What was the film about that you made at acting school or in your OPT year?
Well, I'm so creative, so I made it about acting students.
Yeah, love it.
So it was about these acting students who were doing Tennessee Williams plays, and it started kind of creeping into their own lives, and the plays kind of matched with their own experiences. So,
that's cool.
Yeah, a little bit psychological thriller I was going for, but I don't know how it...
Now, did you use that to apply to LFS?
I did, actually.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And it was interesting because so I made that film, we finished it in 2019, and then obviously COVID, I moved back home to Sweden, worked in a restaurant, tried to kind of get into the industry in Sweden for a bit. And then I saw this, I kind of saved up some money during COVID because you couldn't do anything. And then I saw this ad for a summer course at LFS. And I was like, that would be amazing. So I kind of used my saved up money and I did the summer course for 3 weeks. And then I realized how much I don't know about filmmaking and how much I just loved it. I think we made 3 very short films, but 3 short films during the 3 weeks. So every week you kind of had a pre-production and a post. And so I got home in the middle of August and I applied 2 weeks later to the full program.
Great.
And then, yeah.
Awesome. So that gives me such a good, like, kind of well-rounded idea of your experience in New York, which sounds amazing, growing up in Sweden, and then also just your entrance into London Film School and kind of your initial kind of love of film. So you make it to London Film School. Can you tell me a little bit about, I would love to hear about one project in particular that you've had. You know, we have each term we make a film. I'd love to hear about one experience you had. I know you directed in term
3 and 4.
In term 4, in term 3 and 4. I would love to hear, but either, you know, just about what that experience was like. Term 4 is a substantial, not to say documentary isn't, but term 4 is quite substantial in the planning and the writing of everything.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear a little bit about that and what your experiences were making that film.
Yeah, I think, well, both coming from an acting background and not really having that much experience within filmmaking except for my own kind of little films and projects. From the start, coming to LFS, I was always kind of in a catch-up mode. I was like full on imposter syndrome. Well, still is. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah.
So
would you say it was a little bit like you felt like you were playing catch up with some of the other students who might have had more experience,
definitely.
you think? Mm-hmm,
yeah, I think like in my class, and like in all classes basically, there's a lot of students with very much like a lot of experience, and they've done films that went to festivals, and they've done features, and they've worked at studios, and all these kind of amazing experiences. And I was like, I've acted a little bit and then filmed a short film. So I think when I got the opportunity in term 4 to direct, it was, well, very exciting. And I was like, this is a huge opportunity, because not everyone gets to direct all the terms.
Yeah.
So you kind of really had to treasure it. But yeah, it was quite scary. And I think I was lucky with my unit, and especially kind of the camera team, which you work really closely with.
Yeah.
And my DOP and my camera op was really supportive, and really we spent those hours kind of storyboarding and changing our minds and testing new things and all of that. So so that was great to kind of be able to, I had a pretty clear vision, I think, now looking back on it, but it was just getting that support of like, yeah, that's a good move, do that. Or even saying the opposite of like, should we try this instead? So
absolutely. I think it's important to note, like, everyone's learning making those films, you know what I mean? It's not just one person, or that the writer director kind of like is going to make or break the movie. It's really the cinematographer, the sound person. They're all learning at the same time. So it's that's kind of the fun of it, is that you're doing your best, but you're also kind of just accepting that it's going to be a learning process, no matter how passionate you are about it, you know? So I think that's very important. Do you care to share the story? I actually think I've seen it, but I would love to, if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't know that you'd seen it. Okay.
I have seen it. Yeah, okay. I think I threw it on VLE.
So basically, so my whole pitch was like, it's Hitchcock, but if the two main characters are like Chip and Dale.
Yeah.
So it's like a buddy comedy, but it sets out for these brothers, Sam and Billy, and they have this market stand. They're trying to sell biscuits, and across the street from them is this beautiful cafe, and it's called Beatrice Beautiful Biscuits. So Sam and Billy, they want to destroy this cafe, so they set off a bomb with a 10-minute timer in this cafe, and they plan to start the timer as soon as she leaves, because they're not that bad guys. Like they don't want to hurt anyone. So they wait for Beatrice to leave. She leaves, they start the timer. So that's kind of the beginning of the film.
Got it.
The timer for 10 minutes starts. And I think also we had the restriction of like, these films have to be 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. So it's like, let's do like, we follow these people for 10 minutes. So it's like supposed to be kind of real. Yes, so they've started the timer because they saw Beatrice leave, and then they see someone else approach, and it's this other baker who attacks Beatrice and drags her into the cafe. So this all kind of happens in the first like 30 seconds of the film. So now the setup is like, okay, they have 10 minutes before the bomb goes off. They have to go in, dismantle it, save these people without kind of disclosing that it's them who set up the bomb. And then everything goes wrong, basically.
I love it. Where did you come up with the idea for this?
So I have to credit my boyfriend a little bit, because he was telling me about an idea he had, which I probably shouldn't disclose, but it was like a real time. It was also set in real time. It was like a 10-minute film, and you follow something for 10 minutes. So I was like, oh, that's quite a nice idea. It was very different in style. Mm-hmm. So I was like, what can I do? And then I love Hitchcock, and he has this whole thing of like suspense of like the bomb under the table.
Sure.
So I don't know, it kind of mashed up in my mind, and I was like, what if there's a bomb, 10-minute timer, what can I do? And as an actor, I always did a lot of comedy, so I was kind of low-key writing it for myself as well. I didn't act in the film, but I did gender neutral names, and then I actually rewrote it a little bit for a play, and I did that at like a writer's night.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Tested the material like the week before we actually shot.
So what did you do in this writer? What it was? You just read it aloud?
Yeah. So you basically, this writer's night was like, you could bring in a 10-minute play, and you read it out loud, like in character, but you have your script in front of you. So it's not like played out. You don't have to like kind of put any rehearsal in. So I brought some friends and had them play some of the other parts, and then I played one of the part.
That's really cool. Where did this happen? Where did you do this?
This was, so some friends of mine have like a theater company, so they were actually arranging it to both test some new materials for them and hear other writers. So I kind of did it in that writer's night, and it was in Waterloo somewhere. It was a really nice little like black box theater.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. That sounds great. I have to know more about that. It
Yeah.
sounds like a good way to kind of get ideas out there and like test them.
Yeah, it was really nice actually. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So this is great. I feel like I'm getting more of a sense of some of your experiences at school. I'm wondering, before we get to kind of your ideas for your grad film, as you're in term 6 and you're with Richard and Sue, who are the term 6 tutors, and they're very good at shepherding you along as you kind of like look for ideas for grad film. I want to hear a little bit about your experience as student governor. You took the reins from me, and just we don't have to talk at length about it, but I'm just curious as to what you've thought of that experience. And it is what you kind of get from it, but it's also how do I describe it? I think it's interesting to look at that side of London Film School, and you are representing the students in some way, and it's interesting the things that are said. A lot of it is we can't discuss here, obviously, but just curious, just a brief kind of thoughts on that.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting, as you said, like kind of we met through James, who was then student union president, and I kind of reached out to him because I wanted to be involved with the student union. Yeah. They still have kind of a lot of great events and clubs and stuff. So I reached out to him, and he kind of made me aware that you were looking for our student governor replacement. So then we met, and you talked me through it, and I think I kind of tried to follow in your footsteps a little bit with the thing. You have so much freedom, right? Because you're representing the students obviously in the board meetings, and you kind of have to take that quite seriously and stand up for the students when you can, and kind of bring that student perspective that sometimes is just not deliberately, but sometimes just lost out of not knowing. So I kind of take pride in that part. But then you spent quite a lot, as you were telling me, on focus on kind of the conversations with, which is a format which I think is great, with where we bring in kind of sometimes alumni, but usually just industry professionals. Sometimes we screen a film they worked on, and then kind of a Q&A situation. So I worked quite closely with Sarah and the team for Conversations With.
Cool.
So that's been
some
really
great
fun.
stuff. There's been some great stuff. There was one with a BFI. Who was the woman before they screened Bird, Andrea Arnold's film? The woman's name escapes me now, but she was on
the panel, right?
She was part of the funding at BFI.
Yes.
That was
Mia.
Mia.
Yeah.
Mia was fantastic.
I forget her last name, but she was great.
It was a great event, and great to be able to screen that film and then really discuss at length what it takes to get funding from BFI, and also the fact that they're quite open to lots of different types of productions, and actually they're a bit wary of the bigger budget stuff that's coming through, and they are looking for emerging talent. So that was a really great evening. You were there, is that? Yeah. That was a great event. So that's great to hear. I think that's a good way. Yeah, student governor, there really isn't a rule book on the types of things you can do, but I think that that kind of title, if you're reaching out, if you're trying to create kind of synergy between London Film School, and they kind of give you, I felt like maybe it was, whether it was by design or not, it's a role that you can kind of take for all it's worth. And, when you're going to, even if you're like trying to get deals for grad films, you can say, I'm Ellinor Olinder, student governor of London Film School. It sounds cooler, and maybe they'll be like, oh, she's a governor, so maybe I should I think it's good. It just depends. It depends on like who you're talking to, and if you think it would have resonance. But it's certainly helped me in some aspects. But again, it's like kind of the strategy of it. Awesome. So appreciate that. Appreciate just a little bit of discussion there. And really my question, I think the most interesting thing that's kind of on the plate for you now is kind of pursuing your grad film and what you want to do. And yeah, LFS does give you a lot of opportunity to travel internationally for it if that's something you want to do. They give you a certain amount of money to kind of push you off with kind of also telling you that a Kickstarter would be a good way of bringing in more money if you think it'll cost more. But yeah, I would love to hear about your experience preparing for your grad film, what term 6 has been like, and yeah, I'd just love to hear more about that.
Yeah, I mean, so I just started term 6, and I'll finish term 6 in like beginning of April, and then I kind of have what would be 2 terms to then kind of finish my grad film. So for now, I just know that I am filming probably in August. I might be filming in London. I might be going home to Sweden. So
really?
I'll see. Yeah, it's definitely an option still.
So cool. In your home, you think? Near or
it
in...
would actually... So my mom grew up on a farm.
Wow.
That my aunt now owns. And she kind of has some land, and she has like this other farm that she inherited. That she's like renting out. So I
You've got a location.
Exactly. That's the thing. And maybe I'm like, okay, I have this wonderful location because then it would be like the forest surrounding it, the lake, like fields, like all this. It's not
Outside
fancy,
of
but it's
Stockholm.
just no. So this is on the west coast. So it's quite close to Gothenburg actually,
Oh,
but
okay.
like in the middle of nowhere,
Wow.
basically. So it would be a problem with like finding crew in that area, finding equipment in that area, but I
sure
think
you
it
can
would be
do it.
beautiful. And I also feel like depends on kind of what story I go with. So for me, I've had kind of quite a lot of ideas, and it's interesting, right? Because I think I'm happy that I have more ideas that I can kind of choose from, but it's also like quite a big commitment to make the grad film, and I think it's kind of built up through your years at LFS and probably at other schools as well, that like the grad film is the big kind of, I don't know, your calling
your
card
thesis.
or your exactly. And I think I put a lot of pressure on that, and also knowing that okay, I'm gonna spend this year now on this, while before we've spent 12 weeks or 10 weeks on something, and you kind of make it work. So it's fun. I'm in a good position because my problem is that I have too many ideas. So I'm trying to figure out which one is good. But and kind of depending on the idea, I'll either end up in London or Sweden. They're kind of, some of them are suited more for a London shoot, and some of them are more suited for kind of a Sweden shoot. So
can I ask you, because it seems like you have an affinity for some comedy or kind of comedy within drama in a way. I'm curious, you don't obviously you don't want to be giving away ideas or whatever, but I think it's more like thematically, like what type of things are you drawn to? Are a lot of the ideas you're thinking about for your grad film comedy based? Is it more drama based?
It's a mix. So I definitely did have like a comedy follow-up on my term 4 film with like the same 2 main brothers, and I was like, what if I put them in another tricky situation and let them like try to solve it? But I think I'm like, no, I don't want to repeat myself too much, because I also think like the grad film, it can be this amazing thing, but it's also, someone said this to me, like it's also just one of all the films you're gonna make. Like, don't take it too seriously, because after that you'll just make another film. Like, it doesn't have to be everything you got in one kind of 15-minute film. But I still want to make the best film I can, but I think when they said that, I was like, okay, actually I don't have to put all this kind of pressure on myself. So I do have some comedy ideas, but I would like to maybe try something else. And I love watching comedy, but I also love thrillers. So I'm a little bit in like thriller territory with some of my ideas. But I also have this kind of kid detective story, and I love the Goonies. So I'm like, could I do something like that? So it's quite spread out now. But it's fun because I'm producing on a few grad films, and they're all very different in kind of their stories. So it's fun to see what you can do. Like ideas are just limitless. Like there's so many different ways to, even with one idea, to like how you form it and how you.
Do you care to discuss a little bit about some of the films you're producing? Maybe a little bit about the stories
absolutely.
of them, or what drew you to them initially?
Yeah, so one of the films I'm producing is Alessandro's film. So Alessandro Lombardo is in kind of the cohort above me. And he asked me if I would be interested. And he is from Italy and wants to film in Italy.
Great.
So I was like, actually, I don't need to know hear the story. I'm
go.
in. Yeah, can I come to Italy? I'll come. But his story is a very sweet story about, and I hope he doesn't mind. I don't think he minds that I'm
I think
telling
a brief, it's more of
the
a
brief is out.
promotion.
Yeah, exactly. So no, his story is about this. You start with this kind of fairy tale character, Sienna, who starts to faint and she starts to feel ill. And she talks with other fairy tale characters, and they tell her that it's because her creator, her author, is forgetting her. So she goes on this mission to the real world to find her creator and kind of make them remember her. And her creator is like beginning stages of dementia.
Wow.
So that's why she's kind of getting forgotten. So it's this story about kind of, make peace with your fate, and also make peace with that a story is important, even if it gets forgotten or if someone doesn't remember it, because maybe it impacted. It's this story, parallel story of like this older woman who came up with the story. She always told it to like her grandchildren. So, yeah, it's kind of an homage to stories and why they're important.
That's beautiful.
So it is, yeah. I was so kind of, and it's, yeah, I was really drawn to it when I read the script.
Wow.
So it was a bonus. It's in Italy.
That's so great. Where in Italy?
I'm literally having a meeting tomorrow. So hopefully we'll lock a location. I think we'll be around Rome. So either Umbria or Lazio, which is the two kind of areas surrounding Rome.
That sounds so fun. You'll do that in the summer?
We're doing it in April, actually.
April?
Yeah.
Whoa, soon.
Yeah,
Ish.
soon.
I think April's going to be here before we know it. Yeah, absolutely.
I know.
Well, that sounds so amazing. That sounds like so exciting, not only to be planning your own. And I think ideas will come to you as you produce some of these. I think it's very wise. I did the same thing, did some producing, and then went after mine. So I think that's producing kind of, you're right there with the director, you're supporting them, you're doing a lot of good things for them, and you're there with them through just as much, depending on things, but you're generally there from the beginning to the end, the whole way through. So I wish you the best with both your grad film and that film you're producing. It sounds awesome. So I really feel like we're up to the present. Now we're kind of like here, like in the now, after the holidays, we're in 2025 and you've got lots of awesome things planned. I want to talk just briefly about the future.
Yeah.
I know it's kind of like open-ended a little bit, but you said it yourself. You said, don't get too bogged down with this film being the perfect film or anything like that. You'll make another one after. And I think a lot of us are in the same boat with that. Can you talk a little bit about what, if, I don't know, it's just, what would you, after school ends and your grad film's done, you've screened it at the BFI showcase in 2020, end of 2025 or early 2026. What are you thinking? Would you like to stay in London? Well, I'm curious to hear about what you see in the future.
Yeah, I think I want to stay in London, at least for the first few years.
Yeah.
And I think, most people at film school and definitely at London Film School, I think, want to be directors, and so do I. But I think it's that thing of like, you have the directing and then you have these kind of backup departments that you're decent at, that you can like try to make a living as you're trying to find your way as a director. So for me, that's kind of producing, but also ADing. I've done a little bit of ADing and quite enjoy it. So that's kind of my plan of pursuing the ADing and producing at the same or parallel to directing.
What do you like about assistant directing?
Well, I love being on set.
Yeah.
I think, and also as a director, you kind of have to love being on set.
Yeah.
You're going to be on set so
Oh my
much.
God, yeah.
So, and I really love being on set. I really love that it's so much kind of problem solving. And I know AD has like sometimes a bad rep, but I just think it's so much fun kind of problem solving for the creative to be able to happen. And trying to make do with the time that you have. And also, because it's so much about communication, or for me it has been that you have to kind of work with all the HODs. It's not just the director. That's right true. So but I'm very much in the beginning stages of it. I've done a few short films, but I might get to do a feature later in the year. Which would be really, really fun. Low budget, but like a really fun AD project. Yeah.
Wow, cool.
So we'll see about that. But yeah, I think I love the creative side of directing and writing, but I also loved math growing up. So there is part of me that's like, scheduling is so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that if you have the mind for it, scheduling is kind of like fun, and putting those pieces together and doing it, like, so it really matches whatever is needed. If the production designer needs a day for something special, or the cinematographer especially needs, or the director for a specific scene needs it to be this way, or shot chronologically, or however, to try and make that priority and make a better film for it. That's the AD's
exactly. And that's when you kind of solve a problem on set together, like with the HODs, and you're like, okay, wait, we're behind, but what about this? What about that? And you make it work so they can make the film that they want. I think that's fun.
That's really well said. What a great kind of just a picture of what you've been up to, not only at London Film School, but before. I really appreciate you sharing just your experiences in film. It's really great. I feel like I've learned a lot, throughout just a 30-minute conversation. Is there anything else you wanted to discuss? Is there any promotion? I mean, obviously I'll put social media tags in the in the YouTube link and all this, but is there anything else you wanted to cover that maybe we haven't discussed yet?
No, I don't think so.
I think we got it. Yeah,
most of it.
This is fantastic. Yeah, you've really been.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course,
this is really fun.
Of course, I love to do this. I love a good conversation and. Excuse me.
No, you
I love a good. Sorry,
I was just about to say I was so nervous coming here, and then because I listened to all the previous podcasts, and then you made me so comfortable, and it's really fun. Like we were saying before we started recording, that it's really fun to catch up in this kind of way. It's not often you sit down with kind of. Friends to just like oh my god now I
got it
I got the cough
January
so it's really fun.
It's totally it's really I think we don't often get a chance to sit down, like you just told me, 2 big projects you're about to do. You don't really always have a time for a coffee, and I think interesting things come out when you record it. It's more formal in some ways, but maybe closer to the heart. We're all filmmakers, so we all get excited when the camera goes on. So I think specifically for our subset, there's a certain like magic that happens, and it's been really fun recording the podcast and just getting kind of more just kind of texture and flavor from just so many great filmmakers at school. So I'm very grateful to have you on. Ellinor Olinder, I just want to thank you so much for being on the London United Filmmaker Podcast, and I hope we can do another one. Maybe after you get the grad film all wrapped up, we can kind of have a follow-up.
See you in a year.
The
follow-up.
And then we can hear a little bit about the film in Italy as well, and there'll be just a lot to talk about, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
So
thank you so much for having me.
Of course.